In today's episode, I am going to teach you step by step how you can create your first own home base on the African continent with the help of Airbnb. You are probably watching this video right now because you either can't wait to resettle back to the motherland and start a business there, but you don't know where to start, or maybe you are just interested in starting your own Airbnb business on the continent. If that is the case, then this video is all you need to watch today, and I promise you, if you watch till the end, you will have all the information and confidence you need to start your journey today. My name is Winnie. Welcome to my channel Plan B Back to Africa, where I share my knowledge and experience of buying land and building multiple home bases on the African continent. I have a background in cultural anthropology and African studies, and I am a super host on Airbnb since more than 4 years. And without any delay, let's dive straight into it. To make it easier and more comprehensive for you, I broke down the process of starting your own Airbnb business on the continent into 10 steps that you must take. And it's very important that you take each step seriously and watch this video till the end, because each step will build upon the previous step. So the first step that you have to take is you have to clarify your goal. Sit down, take a pen and paper, whatever helps you, and think about why you want to start an Airbnb business on the continent. Like, for instance, do you want to create yourself a holiday home or even a home base on the African continent, so that when you travel to that particular location that you choose, feel right at home and don't have to check into hotels and all that stress that comes with organizing a trip. For this very reason, I built myself 2 Airbnbs on the island of Zanzibar, because I traveled to the island since 15 years, first time for my studies, and ever since I fell in love with the island. And accommodation is so expensive, so I thought to myself, why not just create yourself a home base here? And that is what I did. In fact, I just got back from Zanzibar to build my second holiday home on the island. Maybe you also just want to build a business on the African continent that supports your family and friends on the ground, and you treat it more like a side hustle that brings you additional income. That is also a very common approach to this business model. Or maybe you even consider quitting your job and focus on Airbnb full time and are interested in the real estate. Well, if that is the case, Airbnb is a great way to enter the game of real estate, and you can make a lot of money with that if that is your wish. As you can see, there are so many different reasons why you should start your Airbnb, and in fact I even made an entire episode on that topic, so check it out. I will link it in the end of this video, and there you can get some inspiration what you can achieve with the Airbnb business model on the African continent. So let's get to the next step. Once you have clarified your goal and asked yourself why you want to start your Airbnb business, you should think about this strategy. You see, there are so many different strategies and ways to enter the game. The easiest way and strategy to start your own Airbnb business is by renting out a spare room in your private home via Airbnb and use that money to cover your rent, for instance. And that is what I actually did, how I started. And by that, I was not only able to cover my rent, I even made profit with it. Another strategy for those who have enough capital to invest is to build or buy your own house, which you then list on Airbnb and make some money with it. The by far most popular strategy, however, is called rental arbitrage, which means that you rent a house or apartment, ideally unfurnished because that's much cheaper, and then rent it out via Airbnb. As you can see, there are so many ways to enter the game, and that is what I love the most about the Airbnb business model, because it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter what your professional background is, there is literally for every single one of us out there a way to enter the game. And so let's get to the next step. Step number 3, pick a location. So once you have decided on the strategy and thought about your goal, it's time to choose a location and pick a market. The by far most convenient and easiest way is, of course, to start in your country of origin or maybe your hometown, and where you have family and friends that can keep an eye on your business or even are part of that Airbnb business. However, I understand that not every one of us has the opportunity to start such a business in his home country, because so many countries on the African continent, unfortunately, and especially at these times, are in a state of war or politically and economically unstable. However, that should not discourage you, because Africa has so many beautiful places, and I promise you, you will feel the love, you will feel welcomed no matter where you go. Of course, if you go with an open heart and open mind. Maybe there is also a country that you love to visit regularly, and you might also have some friends there and have made some connections there. That's also possible that you start there. In general, I can advise you to start your Airbnb where there's a lot of tourism, maybe close to a national park, maybe close to a beautiful beach, or maybe even the capitals. They really work well for your Airbnb business, because most of the capitals have a high presence of NGOs, international institutions, where you will have a constant influx of volunteers. So I assure you, you can't go wrong with this. For those of you who have absolutely no idea where to start, I recommend you the tool called AirDNA. With the help of AirDNA, you can analyze the market and you will get so much valuable data. And you just have to type in a city where you are interested in starting your Airbnb, and it will give you so much information, like for instance, how many Airbnbs exist in that area, what the average price is that they take per night, what their occupancy rate is. So you can use AirDNA to figure out if the place that you have in mind is a good spot to start. AirDNA is such a powerful tool that I can really recommend it to everyone, and I advise you to do your research before you invest into a certain location. And I'm probably gonna make an entire episode on that too if you wish. Let me know in the comments. So what is also very important is that you check out the laws, rules and regulations for the area you want to invest in. Check out the taxes, and if you have to register a company for your business, or if you can just operate as a private person. Once you have chosen a location and have done your proper research on rules and regulations, the next step is to find a property. The easiest way to find a property is to check out Facebook Marketplace. And in general, each country or capital on the African continent has so many Facebook groups which focus entirely on accommodation, furnished and unfurnished apartments. So do your research and then start contacting landlords and realtors. Or you can even contact realtors on the ground on places like Zanzibar or Mombasa, and in general the East African coast. It also makes sense to talk to the beach boys, because they are very well connected to the guest houses, to tour operators, and they can guide you to a landlord who struggles to find guests. It's very important that your landlord is fully informed about your plans, that you are trying to start an Airbnb business, because after all, you need his or her approval to start operating. Over the past years, I have developed a strategy that I use for my negotiations with the landlords that not only helps me to get the best price imaginable, but also to get their full support. Anyway, let's get to the next step. Once you have found your property, the next step, step number 5, is you have to analyze your competition. And the easiest way to do that is to go to Airbnb.com. Let's say you have found a property with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So you go to the Airbnb filters and type in the exact same features, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and check out all the listings that are similar to yours in your area. And by that you get so much valuable data. Like for instance, check out what is the average nightly price. Check out their calendar, how many days they are booked. You can estimate by that how much money they are making. Check out their photos. How do they furnish and design their space? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And the best way to figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are is by going through their ratings. And don't only focus on the positive ratings. There's so much you can learn out of the negative ratings. Like, let me give you an example. I checked out the negative reviews of my competition, and many people complained that the area is so secluded, that there is no regular bus or no transportation available. And so guess what I did with this information? I bought mountain bikes which my guests are allowed to use for free, and they love it. They love the fact that they were able to just grab a bike and just explore the neighborhood and the secret beaches on their own. And so you see, out of the negative reviews, you can learn so much what you can improve and how you can stand out. Once you have done a thorough analysis of your competition, the next step, step number 6, is to renovate and furnish your apartment. And that's when the fun part starts. Unfortunately, one mistake that I see so many Airbnb hosts on the African continent doing is they design and furnish their properties in a way that tries to mimic Western standards of beauty. Like, I don't know why they do it. If maybe that's their own taste, maybe they're trying to appease to the taste of the foreigner. There are so many ways how you can design and furnish your space in a local, authentic way. So, for instance, you can use beautiful kitenges. These are these colorful fabrics that are popular in many African countries, to design pillowcases or bed sheets and curtains, you name it. So stay away from those couches and sofas made in China and Dubai, and look what you can find on the local market from local craftsmen. And by that you also support locally owned businesses. But I'm gonna be honest with you, furnishing a house or apartment on the African continent can be a real challenge, because most of the places on the African continent, they don't have big stores like IKEA or Walmart. Instead, to buy beds, you have to go to this area. To buy lighting, you have to go to this area. To buy kitchen utensils, you have to drive to a complete different area. And so it can be really a challenge. And sometimes you even have to order for the beds if you want to buy wooden beds from local craftsmen. And let me give you an example how they almost made me lose my mind. I ordered 2 wooden beds from a local craftsman on the island of Zanzibar, and he assured me the beds will be ready after 4 days. Guess how long it took him to deliver the beds? 3 weeks. And they were delivered on the last night before my departure.
Surprise, motherfucker!
I almost snapped. So be prepared for these challenges. It's really not easy, and you need to have a lot of patience. But I always say it, and I say it again and again and again. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So hang in there. That's all I can tell you. The next step after you have finished renovating and furnishing your place, step number 7, is to hire a professional photographer. And please take this seriously. I see so many Airbnb hosts who invest thousands of dollars into furniture and renovating their space just to end up taking photos with their Android phone. Like, make it make sense. Invest $100, $200 US to hire a professional photographer, because to get some bookings eventually, your pictures are the most important aspect of your entire listing. With that being said, let's go to step number 8, build your team. And this is also a very important step. You need a very good cleaner or cleaning team. And let me tell you something. Your cleaner will be your MVP, your most valuable player. Because if you want to succeed with your Airbnb business, you have to make sure that your house, apartment, whatever, is spotlessly clean. Besides a cleaning team, you will need a property manager who will take care of the guests when they check in and when they check out, who introduce your guests into the neighborhood and all the appliances in your home, and who is available in case there is a problem. Like, maybe you are not on the ground like me. Most time I'm not on the ground myself, and so I have my property managers that take care of my guests. That's very important. In some cases, you also need a security guard. And so take your time to really build a reliable team. And building a reliable team on the African continent can be a real challenge. So You really have to find people who you can trust, who will be your eyes, who will be your ears. And also for this, there are so many strategies that you can implement to help you build this team. Once you have built your team, the next step, step number 9, is to make your listing. You simply go to Airbnb, create yourself an account, and start uploading your photos. And the entire website is so intuitive. You simply have to fill out and answer questions, what your accommodation offers, and so it's really intuitive. Take enough time to create a great title, because your title and your photos are the first things that potential guests will see. When it comes to your title, you only have 50 spaces that you can use, so use them wisely. Don't use unnecessary words like clean, beautiful, or safe. Like, your pictures will tell me if your place is beautiful. The reviews will tell me if your place is clean. So don't waste your spaces on unnecessary filler words like that. Instead, look at what feature makes your listing, your accommodation special. Besides your title, you have to make sure you write a killer listing description. A description that leaves no questions unanswered, any questions that your guests might have. The goal is to write a listing description that gives your guests a clear view and idea of what they can expect from your accommodation and you as their host. Unfortunately, I see so many Airbnb hosts not paying enough attention to the profile description, the part where you tell your guests a little bit about yourself. And from my own experience, I can tell you this is so important. You have to tell the guests what you bring to the table. I had so many cases where guests booked my place because they wanted to get to know me. They wanted to pick my brain, my experience, and my knowledge. And I sometimes feel so sad to tell them I'm not even on the ground, and they are disappointed then. But those who are lucky enough to meet me, boy, they're having the time of their lives. Like, I always make sure that my guests have the possibly most authentic and most beautiful experience they can get. And I was so blessed because I really had amazing guests. Some of them are YouTubers themselves and have even million followers, and I was so happy to be able to show them my country, or the country that I am hosting in, through my eyes, from the perspective of an African, of an anthropologist. And so with that being said, let's go to the last step, step number 10. Start operating and never stop optimizing, because your first listing, your first property, even your second, your third, will never be perfect right at the beginning. The most important thing is that you constantly improve. Never take negative reviews personally. The most important thing is that you learn from your failures. What is also very important for you to understand, once you have listed your property on Airbnb, the algorithm will push your listing for 30 days. It will be on page 1, 2, and in this 30 days, you have to give everything you got to make sure that you get at least 3-4 bookings. Because if you don't get any bookings in these 30 days, the algorithm will classify your listing as irrelevant and will push you down to page 10, 11, 12. And once you are there, it's very, very tough to make it up there on page 1 and 2 again. So make sure you get bookings. So I always suggest that you go down with the price in the first 30 days so you will be able to receive your first bookings and start operating. And of course, it's super important that you never stop educating yourself on the Airbnb business model. One way, of course, is to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out any episode where I give you valuable information on how you can become a better host, on how you can improve your listing and get more bookings. But there are so many channels out there that educate on the Airbnb business, and so make use of that free information out there and never stop. The grind doesn't stop. So these were the 10 steps that you must take to enter the game of Airbnb on the African continent. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write them down in the comment section below. I'm so glad to share my resources and help and guide you along the way. And 2023 is our year. We still have 4 months to go. Never say tomorrow. Start today, fam. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I don't even know what you're still waiting for. But if you don't want to miss out the gold nuggets that I'm about to drop on this channel soon, you better subscribe now. See you next time, fam. Bye.